Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for joining us across the vast Louisiana plain, where we are advancing the cause of freedom and liberty and constitutional conservatism, elevating the cause of constitutional conservative candidates, slowly but surely draining the Louisiana swamp. My name is Chris.
And I'm Danielle, and this is the State of Freedom, brought to you by freedom-loving Louisiana First Patriots. Well, hello, State of Freedom warriors. We are so grateful for you. We're so honored that you would have us with you for part of your day. We're only here because of your encouragement, your friendship, your prayers, and your financial support. If you're looking for a way to support us, to advertise with us, or to send us feedback, please visit our website at freedomstate.us. We'd love it if you'd help us get the word out and spread the reach of the State of Freedom. If you want to do that, just like the show on whatever platform you listen to it on, subscribe to it, share it. Don't forget we're on YouTube, we're on Rumble, and the links to those are always in the show notes and over on freedomstate.us. Moms for Liberty East Baton Rouge Parish Chapter is dedicated to fighting for the survival of America by unifying, educating, and empowering parents to defend and take back their parental rights at all levels of government. To learn more or to get involved with Moms for Liberty East Baton Rouge, email momsforlibertybatonrouge@gmail.com. That's moms, the number 4, libertybatonrouge@gmail.com. The email address is on the Patriot page of our website, freedomstate.us, and it's in the show notes. We are so pleased to have Dr. Evelyn Griffin joining us today. She's a friend of the show, and she's a friend of many in this state because she's been a voice for truth, and she's been fighting for truth in the healthcare profession. Before we talk to Dr. Griffin, let me read the scripture of the day. It's Psalm chapter 18, verse 2. And this is a psalm of David after the Lord rescued him from his many enemies, including the brutality of Saul. And it says, "Lord, you are as real to me as bedrock beneath my feet. Like a castle on a cliff, my forever firm fortress, my mountain of hiding, my pathway of escape, my tower of rescue where none can reach me, my secret strength and shield around me. You are salvation's ray of brightness, shining on the hillside, always the champion of my cause." And I have to ask the audience today, has the Lord become as real to you as the ground beneath your feet? Has he become a hiding place for you and the one who provides you a means of escape from the attacks of the enemy? Every single day, it's more clear to me that we are living in very tumultuous and uncertain times. And many who speak the truth and fight for what's right have been attacked for standing up for a righteous cause. And this is why it's so important that the Lord be as real to you as the physical world that you can touch and see. This is why it's so important to recount the faithfulness of the Lord in our lives and strengthen ourselves in him through worship and thanksgiving. He will always be found faithful. We are the ones who need encouragement until he brings us through to the other side of whatever the situation may be. Whatever you're going through right now or whatever you may face in the days ahead, know this: the Lord will rescue you, and he will be a hiding place for you from those who attack you. He will prove himself faithful to you, just as he did to David and so many others. Our job is to build up our most holy faith and strengthen ourselves in the Lord so that he is bigger and more real to us than what we see going on around us and what we are experiencing.
Keeping our eyes on God, keeping our eyes on the Lord and not on the circumstances. Nobody went through more travails or hardships than David, and David, some of it was actually self-imposed, but God was always faithful to David, and Danielle, it's so important. Your reminder today is so important because if we don't keep our eyes on God and we don't focus on him and we turn and focus on all the circumstances around us, it's easy to become discouraged and demoralized. And quite frankly, there are a lot of Americans now who have become quite discouraged, quite demoralized at some of the circumstances of our country. But we have to remember to keep our eyes on God and recognize that his ways are above ours, and he will give us vindication and justice. We have to do our duty. As our guest earlier said, we do our duty, let God take care of the results. And that's what we're doing. And that's what our guest today, Dr. Evelyn Griffin, is doing and has done as a board certified OBGYN, done so much to provide information regarding medical issues that every Louisiana citizen needs to know. Dr. Griffin, what a pleasure to have you on the State of Freedom for the second time. How are you?
I'm doing well. Thank you so much for having me. And I appreciate what you all are doing in turn. And I love that you all start with scripture in general. This is one of the things in all the things of being well in life is being connected to the spiritual part of our lives.
Yeah, it is. It is extremely important, really, really foundational. The last time you were on, Dr. Griffin, you kind of alluded to something that you were working on at the time, Wellness Day. We are, and you're here to talk to us today about Wellness Day. We're promoting it and supporting it. Tell our listeners about Wellness Day. What prompted you to put this event together, and why is it so important?
Sure thing. Well, first of all, I wasn't really sure what to call it. It was a day really born out of the idea of information sharing. Currently, I am working as an OBGYN, but as a hospitalist, I don't have a clinic myself. So as this shift work helps me do some other training in functional medicine towards a clinic that I'll have in the future. So as I'm doing this functional medicine training, friends, family are asking, well, what provider would I see for such and such issue or this issue, et cetera, or just alternative ideas or options. And as I'm being privy to those through this functional training, and, would field these questions individually and then decided, this would be great to just kind of have one big showcase of providers, what's out there locally that may be around the corner from us that we're not aware of, and in turn support local businesses. So I thought, why not, this would be a great thing to have. And I'm kind of looking around and thought, well, I should just pull it together since I'm privy to know a lot of different, such individuals, practitioners, businesses. So yeah, I may have taken on a little bit more than I can chew, but it is a work of love. And I've got a small handful of people that are helping me fantastically that I'm privileged. My husband's helping. Dr. Kathy Willis is helping. Madeline LeBlanc from Mary's Hands is helping. So it's been wonderful. So the day is called All Things Wellness. And it is basically a health fair of sorts to bring everybody together physically in one space where providers can share information and educate about anything that can come towards wellness. And this can be medical healthcare providers, but also providers of health that we may not think of as traditional providers that are outside of the healthcare sphere. So for example, farmers, regenerative farmers that are looking at how to heal the soil and get all the nutrients and minerals back in it so that we can get the foundational food that we need to have to consume for good health. We have practitioners that are also in the space of movement, exercise, what kind of movement specifically leads to longevity, for example. Then looking at the area of different areas, of course, areas of the mental health space as well. How do we heal ourselves from mental health? And that in turn helps our physical health as well as spiritual. We'll be talking towards that as well. Spiritual healing also leads towards physical healing and many other aspects. So you may be getting the idea of where I'm going with this is all the aspects of lifestyle that tie back into our health. And it's a little bit more of a broad, holistic picture than typical healthcare, where healthcare is a little bit more narrow focus on pharmaceuticals and procedures. This is kind of zooming out a little bit and saying, okay, you don't necessarily have to quit all that or throw it to the wayside, but what else do we need to add all around that or have already in the background of our lives for very wholesome wellness?
Yeah. And I'm intrigued by the connection, Dr. Griffin, as we talked about before, between optimum physical and mental health and good judgment, good decision making in our personal lives, and also in the political sphere. It seems that what you are doing here promotes clarity of thought, soundness of judgment. At least that could be one of the positive beneficial effects of it. And obviously, we make decisions in the political sphere as well. And so, talk a little bit about the connection between good physical vitality, good mental health, and good decision making, and good judgment in the political sphere as well. Because we're a political podcast, and I'm just curious about that connection.
Well, yes. I mean, there is a connection really to it all. The event specifically in itself isn't going to have any political discussions or topics.
No, not directly.
Correct. But how does this relate to everything? It does relate to absolutely everything. When you are in good health, you are then able to get better sleep, which leads to better concentration. If you practice gratitude and mindfulness, you have more calm, sound judgment. And so you are able to take in more thoughtful ability to research your choices before you make a decision, whether it be how to, make your own healthcare decisions or how to vote. It definitely ties in all together versus our very current day environment, which is extremely focused on, gratification, last minute gratification or 5 minutes ago gratification, clickbait type of environment. So it definitely lends itself really to all the things. And that's ultimately why I named it that, All Things Wellness, because not only does our wellness depend on all the sectors of our life, but in turn, when we get all that straight, we are just better in return as we give back to all the sectors of life.
Yeah. And, one example as we were thinking about this event is the connection about the connection between health and thinking clearly is understanding that too much fluoride consumption crystallizes the pineal gland, and that's the brain's center for discernment. And so we know that the government has been dumping oodles and oodles of fluoride in the water for decades now. And I have to imagine that part and parcel of that is for dumbing down of the masses and our ability to not be able to discern what's really going on. So are those kinds of topics ones that you anticipate happening or being brought forward at your event? And what kind of speakers will you be having?
So far, that particular topic in specific is not on the docket, but there will be a panel at the end of the day that will have a healthcare panel to discuss topics and will be fielding questions. We've got a lot of interest in the event in general, and then a lot of questions along with that. So we'll be kind of looking at grouping the questions to what has most interest. And then during the day, attendees will have an opportunity to go from vendor table to vendor table to ask questions for the topic that they have more interest in. So throughout the day, there will be talks. We'll have a little break around lunchtime. The entry fee is only $5 per person. Anybody 10 years and under is free. But otherwise, for adults, it's $5 entry fee, and that's just going to go to help support the excess food, extra food that's going to be produced, etc. But it does not include the meal. So there will be, the Haven Cafe will be providing meals for purchase at lunch. So during the lunch hour, we'll have some music from a wonderful local Christian artist that will be entertaining us at that time. There'll be another opportunity for attendees to walk and meet with the speakers, ask questions if they have any specifics. But really anything that attendees want to come, as long as everybody's respectful and just wants to come and ask questions just for the purpose of sharing of information, I think everything's on the table.
Yeah.
And it sounds like it's going to be a lot of information, education, but also some networking as well. Hopefully, I will see some great networking amongst practitioners who have never met to get some crossover there, but also people who can meet potential providers to address some of their personal concerns or family concerns as well.
Yes, that is a good point. That is going to be one of the goals, is to get us together so that we as providers know what resources each of us has for referral sake. And the overarching purpose is for the speakers and vendors to educate the public, and then in turn for the public to learn more, and then in turn support these providers and support the local economy and just learn more and know where to start looking for more information as they try to get a little bit more well-rounded health and wellness. There is no one entity that is going to be promised to, heal all ailments or, heal anything. But because no one thing heals anything, we have been designed, God has designed us to heal if we provide our body with the right conditions. Sometimes that may be medicines, but sometimes medicines can give side effects in the short term or the long term. So we have to be mindful of that. Natural remedies, likewise, can also have side effects. But it's for the entire purpose here is so that we can talk more about it, get more informed consent and more information in general, so we know what questions to ask when we are about to undergo a new prescription or a procedure in the future.
Yeah.
I'm excited to share a fantastic opportunity for State of Freedom listeners who are interested in investing in precious metals or even starting a home-based business in the precious metals industry. Metal Stacks is a precious metals collectors club where you can buy your metals at the best prices on the market, actual dealer cost. They are beating the big sites. They have no credit card fees and no minimums. If you're just interested in purchasing metals at a great price, visit metalstacks.com/dwalker. Get to shopping. That helps me out. I get the commission. You can also refer people to Metal Stacks for an additional income. If you're interested in learning about the referral business aspect of Metal Stacks, email me directly at Danielle@freedomstate.us for more information.
I like the idea, Dr. Griffin, that you're presenting here through this network of people what could be in many people's minds just an alternative narrative to the traditional narrative that we're hearing, where everything is prescription medication, everything is one way or no way. The natural remedies that you're talking about, the alternative approaches to healthcare, I think are going to be very valuable to people. Are you expecting to have, we were talking earlier about all of this being connected, the spiritual, the mental, and the physical. Will this be heavy loaded with really the more physical aspects of our health, or will there be potentially someone who's devoted in the spiritual realm who may be present, and even perhaps a mental health expert or people devoted to mental health who might be present?
Yes, we'll have both. So regarding spiritual health, I believe all the speakers are of like mind that this is one of the core aspects of general wellness. But specifically, we want to be grateful for the venue space that is being donated or for the purpose of this event, and that is the Spell family of the Life Tabernacle Church. Very grateful. They have offered this beautiful large venue space for free. It is enclosed. It is air conditioned. FYI, I know since this event is Saturday, August 24th, by the way, I know it is like peak heat season on top of major heat for the rest of the summer. But so it is air conditioned. It is a large space and audiovisual, has audiovisual options. So the Spell family has been very generous to allow us to have this event there. And then so we'll be hearing more from Pastor Spell regarding just that, about our spiritual well-being and how it ties into our physical well-being. With respect to mental health, we're going to have Dr. Andy Yarborough, who is a psychologist, PhD, who is specifically dealing with just that, with mental health treatment. And he is in a unique niche where he ties that spiritual aspect in directly into treating the patient.
I was going to say that it's so great to hear because I'm sure, and I've seen it in my own friend circle, family, that people who are interested in pursuing some kind of therapy to deal with maybe an issue, a situation that's come up, some kind of trauma in their life that needs to be dealt with. There are so many terrible things that are happening in therapy, as we see in the news, that are the importance of finding a therapist who is grounded in your same value structure and is guided by the Lord is so important, because we have seen how so many therapists have really tried to come between parents and children and have done some really, really insidiously terrible things. I think that's a big part of how this whole trans movement has gotten the legs that it has, because people have tried to, get help for their child, and they've unknowingly put them in the path of someone who was more of a wolf than a shepherd. And so I'm so glad to hear that there will be someone there who can speak to this, and hopefully we can build out a really great network for people who are seeking whatever kind of healing that they're looking for. In terms of logistics, can you give us a little bit of a picture of what the day is going to be like? You said it's indoors, so people don't have to worry about bad weather. They don't have to worry about sweating through their clothes 3 times.
Yes.
Correct. So it is located in Baker. So the best way to get the details and to register is on the Facebook page, All Things Wellness Facebook page. That
just drop us the link. Yeah.
Yes. And on every post, we have the registration link. So it is in Baker. It is 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. And this talks are going to be fairly brief, only about 15 minutes. That is so that we can cover several topics throughout the day, and also not to bore anybody on one particular subject, but just to get through the different topics. And like I said, in the middle of the day, we'll have some music and some fun things for kids to do. There will be some animals there, just FYI.
Nice.
Mixing it up a little bit for the sake of encouraging families to come as a whole. So no age is too young to come. So far, we've got some bunnies as far as part of pet therapy idea. Also some goats. Some baby goats, just to show how fairly straightforward, or at least accessible, the animal world is in terms of starting something in your own backyard, even in terms of healthy, good animal care, and being able to create a product such as goat milk that may be less allergenic for some. So there'll be some fun stuff, a little bit of mix of things as well, fun stuff, not just talks. And attendees will be encouraged to just really walk around and interact with the speakers and vendors and get their information and look to just learn a lot.
I know that you have all the bases covered when you say that there will be some information on pet therapy. That now I know that you've got all the bases covered at your show. I think that's a beautiful thing. What is the cost, Dr. Griffin, to be a vendor? Did you say earlier what the cost is?
So there is no cost. This is really a labor of love. It is completely volunteer effort putting this together. Again, the Spell family has been wonderful in offering this place for free. I, in turn, am not taking any money. I am not charging any of the vendors. We're not paying the speakers either.
Yeah.
And the whole idea there is so that this could be as free from special interest as humanly possible, because this is a little bit in contrast to medical conferences, for example, where there could be very elaborate, wonderful, lavish conferences. But in order to do that, you need money. And often Big Pharma steps in and provides that money. So then you are really beholden to what you promote. And I do want to say I am not promoting anybody. This really is as close to a town hall as I could possibly get, just getting people together in one space. So it in no way, and I don't mean for it to sound like a CYA, but in a way it is, this is in no way claiming anything. It's not claiming any one thing or any one provider or business is going to heal anyone. It is really just to get everyone together in a town hall fashion where we could all talk together and then decide, oh, I want more information in this respect, and now I know where to get it. So the entry fee is the only money exchange. It is a $5 entry fee that can be submitted with the registration. And that will just go to any extra food, because the Spell family will be creating healthy meals, protein bowls or Baja bowls in the Haven, their cafe. And that will be for purchase, but I anticipate that there will be some excess that they'll have to make that may be wasted. And so the money will just go towards that excess. And then if anybody wants to leave a donation for their church or for the cafe, they are more than welcome to. And yeah, that's about it.
Yeah, that's great. Well, Dr. Griffin, knowledge is power. And you are an instrument through your work here in this endeavor to advance the cause of knowledge. And that's a very, very powerful thing. Ideally, this will be the last question from my end. When this is over with and people are headed home, what do you want them to be thinking about? What impression would you like to have made on them with regard to their mental, physical, spiritual health?
That's a great question. There are so many things, because there are so many aspects to lifestyle. I could enumerate all of them all over again, but to answer your question a little bit more succinctly, I would say just what feeling the event gave them, and did it feel good to get together as a community? Did it feel good just to be, in the presence of others who are just looking to just achieve being the best that we can be, based on, quite frankly, how God designed us. He designed us to enjoy this beautiful creation. And part of that is to be the best that we can be. And that's in the sense of He designed us for our bodies to heal ourselves if given the right conditions.
Yes.
And so hopefully all of the information that they would have gained, along with that feeling of sense of community, like we're in it together, I think is kind of the feeling that I'd love for them to go home.
That's very powerful. And the event itself may be healing. The event itself, simply being there and to be able to, I'm imagining if I were to attend and were to take full advantage of your event, probably walking away feeling a little less burdened, a little more unburdened, a little more cheerful, a little more lighthearted, a little more hopeful, a little more connected. And I believe that is going to be the magic of what you're doing here ultimately. I think your event is going to heal some people and lighten some people's loads. And for that, we thank you.
Yeah. And I think empower them as well.
And empower them, yes.
Agree.
Well, and Dr. Griffin, as we were talking before the show, I truly believe that, knowing one truth or pursuing one truth will lead us into all truth. And if that truth is what's happening in politics and it leads you to getting healthy, or if it's healthy and it leads you to understanding something completely different besides the health and the food space, I think it's so important. And I think that just being open to the truth and in one aspect really does lead us to the truth in all aspects. So thank you so much for taking the bull by the horns, for putting together this event. And I just can't wait to see how God's going to use it. I think it's going to be a fantastic day. I fully plan on being there. It's on my calendar, and I'll buy my ticket this afternoon.
Awesome. Sounds great.
Amen.
Thank you all for having me.
Thank you for joining us today.
Appreciate it. Bye-bye.
Thanks for listening to The State of Freedom. To stay on top of all the calls to action or find resources we mentioned today, check out the show notes for the episode. The scripture reading and reflection for today's episode are on our website, freedomstate.us. If you'd like to support the show financially, you can do that on our website as well. Again, that's freedomstate.us. If you'd prefer to give by mail, you can send a check to the State of Freedom at P.O. Box 861, Berg, Louisiana 70343. If you own a business and would like to support our show by advertising, please email us at info@freedomstate.us. To get involved with Louisiana Citizen Advocacy Group, visit lacag.org, LACAG.org, or email Chris at chris@lacag.org. If you're enjoying the show, please subscribe and share it and give us a 5-star rating in the reviews. Thanks again, everybody. We'll see you next time.